Well, it feels good to be back at the tasting table. It
is good.
A couple weeks, and I mentioned last week that due to vacation and other things, our schedules have gotten off. But I think it was actually we just need time for our palates to recover from all the spices.
The pumpkin barrage.
All the pumpkin barrage spices.
Well, we ended with a good one.
We did, yeah. We ended with a good one, and learned along the way that there are people that put out lists elsewhere that have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, at least as far as we're concerned, they have no idea. So
I actually had a few other people tweet to us even that list, and they were like, "What is going on with this list?" So it was nice. Yeah. That's all there is to say about that. There is. But what we do have today is a beer, of course, and we're going to dial it back a bit and go for a pale ale. For this, give it a shot. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith, and we are AboutBeverages.com, and the beverage we are about today is the Hoopla!
Hoopla!
Sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
It sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
Sounds like a...
Hoopla! Hoopla!
And there you have it.
And this Hoopla is from Boulder Beer.
It's not from SpongeBob? It's not SpongeBob SquarePants?
No, but that's probably my favorite episode.
It is a really good one.
Even if there isn't a young person in the room, I would still watch that episode because it makes me laugh.
That is a good one.
Although that poor little guy.
I know, he had to get hit with a brick.
He's just excited.
He's excited,
just as we are to try the Hoopla from, like we said, Boulder Beer, pale ale, 5.7% alcohol. Cost.
It was, I believe, $7.99 for the 22-ounce bomber. Okay. I'd have to double check that, which I did right here. So that's the price.
Also comes in cans?
It does, yeah. I mentioned that just this morning, that it does come in 6-pack cans. In fact, that's how they have it pictured on their website. So they may even be doing away with the giant bomber of this one. I'm not sure. Speculation. Wild speculation.
Wild speculation.
So they do have 3 different types of hops in this. They have Nugget, Centennial, and Glacier. And then they wind up dry hopping with just the Glacier.
And I've never even heard of Glacier.
I hadn't either. Like I said, I think it's one of the more fruity ones, but I'd have to look that up as well. Okay. So,
and they did this beer in conjunction with one of the musicians from a band called String Cheese Incident, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He's a keyboardist, I think.
Yeah, he is a keyboardist. So and an avid home brewer. So they've got some videos and songs and things actually up to the link that's in the link lounge at AboutBeverages.com. We've got a link to their website, and some songs and some videos and things. And yeah, it just seems like they did something they were looking for a good beer for festivals, for concerts, that kind of thing. So not too heavy, but still flavorful.
And it seems, I think that band is Colorado or local too.
I would believe so. So
okay, all
right, let's get into it because man, I am
going to sneeze. Stand back, said the elephant.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I am in the mood for a good refreshing beer, I tell you that. After the morning I have had.
It wasn't a good morning.
It was not a good morning for
a fan of the team that's on my shirt.
No, it was not. But apparently can't play in front of a home crowd. But we're going to leave that alone.
Let that go.
Wow. That is Clear as Glass, which I think is a song by Blondie.
Clear as Glass?
Isn't that the song?
Heart of Glass.
Oh, Heart of Glass. I thought it was Clear as... Okay. All right. It's not...
It was Clear as Glass. Clear as copper glass, though, with a lot of...
I've been using that reference a few times. There's been a few things where something as glass, and I'm like, oh, Blondie song?
Oh, Heart of Glass.
Heart of Glass. There's also the Vault of Glass, which is a
lot of nice little bubble carbonation.
Yeah.
Head retention, clear copper.
I'm already getting, just even out here, I'm getting a little aroma. Made its way to my nasal cavity.
I'm glad it's the cavity it got to.
That's right. I'm glad I went up, not down.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I get hops, but I get some malt too.
Yeah, I definitely.
A little malt underneath.
Yeah, definitely nice kind of malt backbone comes through, and then lighter, little fruity hop. I'm getting a little bit of pine in there though. There's a little something resinous, as they say.
Yeah, it sort of brings that, or it's an undernote to the higher hop notes. But
yeah, it's kind of like it's almost like that heavier hop almost like works in conjunction and builds up with the malt. Like I almost get the two of those together at the same time, and then you've got the lighter aromatics of the fruitier kind of coming through.
I would agree. I like it.
That is really good. That's very refreshing. I would say it's a lot lighter than I even thought it was going to be.
It's lighter
based on
but-
the aroma.
Okay.
Like
Lighter in what way?
Well, because when you talked about the malt
Yeah.
presence that was there, which I picked up on, I thought, okay, this is going to be a little heavier on the tongue, and it's not. It's not like thin. It's very pleasant. It's got a little creaminess to it, but it's not the heavy hop malt that we were just talking about. I'm not getting that together as much in the flavor.
I get the bitter in the back. There's a little bitter,
Definitely.
which is good. I get the malt right away. To me, it's malt forward,
Okay.
but not heavy,
Yes.
like you said.
Right.
But I get, as I'm drinking it, as the beer is going in, there's malt, and then there's the hops, and then there's that probably the heavy from the more piney hoppiness that sits on the
at
back.
the very back. Yeah. Carbonation is really nice.
Yeah.
It's something like that sometimes we
Keeps
don't
it
talk about enough.
lively.
Yeah, keeps it lively, but doesn't overpower. It's not too carbonated. That's just that'd be like it's still a little warm here in Tucson. It's finally cooled a little bit, but this would be a great summer beer for sure. And I could see drinking this, like I said, if it was a little warmer outside, just because there's some good flavor.
You
there.
could, yeah. I actually like it as sort of a fall transitional too.
Oh, okay.
Me personally, just because there is
The transition
I think I'm
seasonal.
thinking it's a little heavy. I think I'm perceiving a little more heavy
Oh,
than
okay.
you are, and I don't. By no means do I mean that I think it's heavy, but I'm.
I would say so. The heaviness I get is just from mostly the bitterness at the back, which
Yeah.
is
A little dry.
which is pleasant, a little dry, like I
Yeah.
said, and the bitterness, like I said. The rest of my tongue gets good flavor, but then it's gone.
Yeah,
I'm getting a little bit of salty too.
it's kind of
It
like
seems
a
little bit.
hoppier Oktoberfest almost. But
That's a good way of saying that.
Because
Okay.
Oktoberfests, I think, feature a little bit more malt and they're maybe
Yeah.
a little lighter. Whereas
And a
this,
little
though,
sweet.
has
Sometimes with that malt, it's
Yeah.
kind of the sweeter type malt.
this has a little more body, but has the malt that goes right into the hops. And so, like I said, to me, I don't know if Deschutes still does those, maybe where they have those transitional seasonal beers.
Oh,
where they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
necessarily,
yeah.
it's not their summer beer, it's not their fall beer, it's like in the middle of those two seasons.
We used to joke about that with Sam Adams too. Like did those, and like they were looking for some other
found that-
market.
yeah.
They found another market where they had that. Like what was it? There was something we really liked from there. It was like the winter into spring. They had that like beer.
Was that Sam Adams or that Deschutes?
I'm sure Deschutes had those too, but
because
there
they had
was-
the Northwest Pale Ale that we liked.
Oh, yeah.
and that was the
Right.
red chair.
Red chair.
That
Mom
we
always really
liked.
liked the red chair.
Yeah, and
She
that's
was-
kind of like
Chair.
they go from Jubilale, which is their winter,
Right.
into that.
Yeah.
and that. And so this is, like I said, kind of I could see drinking this while it's warmer, but also I could be like, oh, it's
Yeah, you're right.
fallish.
It is a good
It's fallish.
It is a good transition.
but it still has that hoppiness, but it's not like, obviously because it's not an IPA, but it has a nice sort of hop
But
component
what's there?
to it.
Yeah, like I said, I've had some
Yeah.
really boring pale ales before, and like I said, I know they're supposed to be a little, obviously less than an IPA. I mean, that goes without saying. But you still can make it tasty, and this one I think really does that. I like a lot of things from Boulder Beer Company. I mean, I'm really happy. Like the Mojo Rising, we
Yeah.
like. I even like Hazen Infused. I mean,
That's
I like,
good.
I like a lot of their different beers. I think they do a really good job with, they don't go too over the top, but they hit like a really nice wheelhouse of just really good quality and value.
That, I think that's a good point. And to me, I always remember Boulder as early on when I was getting into what has come to be called craft beer. Boulder had some options that were out there for you, like the single track. I think it was a copper ale.
Yeah, that's right.
What else? There was something else they had, but I remember their beers as being some of the first available, at least here in Arizona. Fat Tire, things like that were available, and I remember Boulder beers. And then just recently, I think I read an article, well, not recently, within the last 6 months, that they stopped making one of their beers that had been around for a long time. And I think it's their porter, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But
okay.
So yeah, no, I agree. They have it is right in that sort of value, but don't take it just for value. There's also some good quality
Yeah.
in there. You get some good beer for the price.
I'm usually never disappointed. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I said, you can always like be like, oh, I wish this had a little bit, but I'm never like, oh wow, I'm really upset about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a bummer. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully what is not a bummer to the rest of our audience is AboutBeverages.com. And
Better
hopefully
not
not,
be.
because you got it this far and watched it. So
That's right. It's free.
That's right, and it was completely
It's great
free.
value.
It's the best value, really. I mean,
Just a little bit of your time. That's all we ask.
that's all we ask. Which time does have a value.
Of course it does.
So everyone,
Of course
we
it does.
can't gauge. Of course, we can't
Of
gauge
course.
what someone's value is, but hopefully this was worth it. And at the website, that's where you can find the tasting notes for this beer, as well as where it hits on our recommendation scale. And while you're there, definitely, I put a call out last week. Definitely let us know what are some of the other seasonals that are coming up that we need to be getting in on. Some other maybe good Thanksgiving Day wines. That's always coming up, and
It is.
well, not always. Once a year, it happens to come up. That we need.
It's always out there
wine-
somewhere.
Yeah, it's always out there somewhere. It's either in front of us or behind us. I'm not sure which, or it's both. But we need some more wines for that. I'm always looking for some good suggestions on what to bring over to the festivities. And I think I'm very excited as we go into the fall season for some good stuff, especially with one of our favorite beers of all time has made it back to the shelf, and we need to get some of that.
Oh
tasted
yeah,
again.
we gotta.
The Left Hand Brewing Fade to Black Volume.
Yeah, just so everybody knows,
Yeah.
that's their Fade to Black this year is going to be the
They've gone
volume
back,
one.
Yeah. I believe it is out, so I need to make sure I pick up some of that. So
Absolutely.
We can
Oh my
taste
gosh,
that.
yes. Oh yeah.
But whether we like it or not,
You should give it a shot.